guys, welcome back into the channel. In today's video, I wanted to build upon some of our previous topics, specifically talking about coaching traits and player caps as well, and things that you can do to improve your team development within CFB25 Dynasty mode that's going to help you out if you are challenging yourself, if you are having trouble with having a lot of player caps, not getting players that have high enough devs to have lower player caps and those types of things. This is a video that is going to be about how you can, with your coach's capabilities, help yourself out with eliminating some of those caps and improving that team building potential that you have within CFB25 Dynasty mode. I think it's worth mentioning at the beginning of this video that I'm on our Akron connected Dynasty because we are limiting ourselves to recruiting 3-star players, and we now have a year of recruiting under our belts. So there's a lot of players on this team that are a good example for today's video, and specifically just, taking a look at a lot of 3-star players and what you're able to do with some kind of lower end players within the game and what they actually look like as far as skill caps. You'll see here up on the screen, and they come in, even if they have some impact dev or star dev or whatever, a lot of 3-star recruits regardless come in with quite a few skill caps that are going to prevent you from doing different things within Dynasty mode. I mean, there's a lot of capabilities that are going to be absent from some of these players unless you do some things to really focus on building up your coaches. So, even taking a look at a high overall recruit coming in like this, they're almost completely capped out, and there's not a whole lot more that we can do to improve upon that player without intervention from our coaching capabilities. So what can you do with your coach, and what are some of the most important abilities in order to influence your team building capabilities and getting players that can reach higher overalls? Well, the first thing that I would impress upon you is to focus on your recruiting, and I think at this point everybody that I play with focuses down their recruiter traits first so that they can get the best possible recruits. Now, in a dynasty like what we have going on, we're only targeting 3-star players. So is this as necessary if you're challenging yourself like that? Not totally, because you can get a full recruiting class of 35 3-star players with just about any school in this game without even really taking a lot of the recruiter traits. I mean, you could probably spec a couple points into recruiter and whatnot, but then you have to consider, well, what else would you invest it into? The two that you immediately have unlocked with any given coach is going to be your tactician traits and your motivator traits, and these can be both useful in various different ways. Really, with the motivator end of things, you're going to be looking for the off-season training boost, which is the 3rd tier of any one of these traits. Don't get me wrong, the bonus XP, being able to stay hot through timeouts, quarter changes, and all that stuff can have nice impacts on the game. But really, if you're investing into the motivator archetype for your coach, you're looking for that tier 3. As an example, quarterbacks get an off-season training boost. The problem is there's some research out there to suggest that the training boosts that you get here may or may not even be that significant. Sometimes they glitch out and they don't even work and things like that. So it's not necessarily the most reliable traits to be going after, and it's not necessarily the best way that you could influence skill caps and improving your team building, especially if, like I said, you are challenging yourself and not playing as an already top-end school that can recruit all the 5-stars that are out there. And then even the second round of traits here that you would eventually unlock are not really that impactful. We're talking about injury prevention and those types of things. You do get some increased XP whenever you get all the way to tier 3 on this second level of traits, but that's so far away that it's not that impactful. What you can do immediately to help yourself out is to spec into some of the tactician traits, which can be really, really useful for you. So if you're running into issues with skill caps at certain positions, you should certainly take a look at the tactician traits. And if you're doing something like I'm doing, where I'm challenging myself with a really bottom end school and everybody else is as well in this dynasty, then I don't need to worry about maxing out my recruiter right away and those types of things. I can focus on getting what I did here, better block shedding for my defensive line. Sometimes I like to put a couple of points into the O-line and get better blocking from my offensive line. Really, I think the trenches are one of the areas that you can really focus on the most. I've also noticed that I'm potentially going to be really weak at quarterback, even bringing in a few decent prospects at quarterback, and I can boost some really important stats for those players. The quarterback boosts give me throw on the run, throw under pressure, and break sack. And then if you get all the way to the bottom, you can boost short and medium accuracy. So some of these traits can be really useful. Again, I'm not going to recommend that you guys max this out necessarily, but really they're not going to be that important as far as team building is concerned. So what are you really then going to be trying to go after? There are some other really good traits out here, but they're not necessarily always going to be accessible to you. So in order to get CEO, you have to win 2 national championships. And if you're taking a challenge on, if you're playing with a lot of other users, is it realistic to aim for that? If you get that as kind of a side effect and you can unlock that later into a dynasty after you've won a couple national championships, certainly that's something you want to do because there are some really good abilities here. But realistically, that's not something that we can aim for. Winning 5 playoff games for Program Builder is a little bit more realistic, but again, that's going to take you a good bit of time, probably a couple of seasons, if not more, depending on what you're doing in your dynasties. And realistically, if you did manage to unlock Program Builder, the ones that you would want to go after would be Relationship Builder and Strong Roots, because those are going to boost your pipelines. That could take you a while to achieve. What I really would urge you to focus on actually is going to be the Architect tree. And in order to unlock the Architect tree, it is still going to take you some time. You're going to have to win 4 rivalry games, and you're going to have to spend 25 points into Motivator. And I would recommend that you go to Tier 3 to get those off-season training boosts. That's going to unlock that 25 points that you need to invest into Motivator in order to then unlock Architect. But Architect is where some of the really good traits are at for you. So if you take a look at Tier 2, you get a chance to increase a random skill cap when leveling up. And then Tier 4, you get a chance to increase the best skill cap with a conference or national title. So realistically, if you can find a way to beeline Architect to Tier 2 on all of your positions, that would be, in my opinion, the most ideal way to impact your capabilities with progressing your team over time. This is going to take you a while to get to, but I think that it would be the most bang for your buck because Tier 2 is going to give you that chance to increase a random skill cap anytime that a player levels up, and they're going to be leveling up quite a bit. You saw even some of those players that were coming in as 3-star recruits with a lot of skill caps, they still have quite a few level ups in them. So every time they level up, you get that chance to increase a random skill cap. And then if a skill cap unlocks, that's another level up, which gives you a chance to unlock another skill cap, and so on and so forth, and you kind of snowball that. The Tier 4, not necessarily as important, I would say. I think you would be more benefiting going through Tier 2 of all of these, unless you know that you're going to be able to go win a conference or national title. Conference championships would probably be a little bit more realistic, especially if you are utilizing some of these lower end teams. I mean, winning the conference title in the Sun Belt or the MAC or whatever it is not going to be that difficult with most of the teams within the game. So you could certainly go that route. But I think Architect is relatively straightforward to achieve. Now, do you go straight for Motivator and skip Recruiter and skip anything in Tactician and go to Architect? No. I still don't think that that is going to be the most beneficial to you because there's going to be so much recruiting going on for you, and you can override some of those skill caps by just simply getting star dev and better players, and even sometimes impact dev players. And so recruiting, in my opinion, is going to be at the forefront. And then I would think about going towards Architect as soon as you can after you're comfortable with where you're at in your recruiter talent tree. Most of the teams that I have recruited with and developed within connected dynasties and solo dynasties on College Football 25 have reached that high 80s into the 90s as far as overalls are concerned, and oftentimes that's just straight off of having the recruiter tree pretty much maxed out so that I can get the best recruits. Now, like I said, I'm limiting myself and we're limiting ourselves within this dynasty, so I'm exploring some different options. If we're limiting ourselves to 3 stars, then I really have to look at what I can do to get rid of some skill caps in order to upgrade players faster and whatnot. And so I'm going to be going towards archetype, and I would recommend that if you're doing anything similar, you guys do the same. That's everything you guys need to know as far as coaching trees are really concerned within CFB25, and the direction I would recommend you guys take if you are experiencing any issues with skill caps, or you really want to focus on improving the players that you are already recruiting. That's going to be the best way to do it. So leave your feedback down below, leave a comment, let me know which direction you guys go with your coaching trees. A lot of people have already left comments on those prior videos about why architect is so important for them and why they focus on architect. And that's why I felt it was really important to bring this topic to you guys as well, because I don't know that a lot of people really focus on these secondary traits that require a while to unlock. A lot of the focus is always on, well, do I go with one of the first three? Do I go recruiter? Do I go motivator? Do I go tactician? What's the best way to go? Well, the best way to go is going to be maybe a little bit different than what you already thought, and planning forward to some of those secondary ones like architect that you can unlock to really improve your team. But anyway, leave that feedback down below. Leave a like, comment, and subscribe if you have not already. As always, I'll see you in the next video, and I hope you have a good one.